Well, we're sitting on a very wintry and wet afternoon in Pontypridd in Capel y Bont, which is the newest church within the Presbyterian Church of Wales. So I'm joined now by Jess Morgan, who is a member of the church and one of the leaders here, and also Nicola Roylance, who is signing, and we'll come on to why Nicola is signing in a minute, Jess. But there's so much decline across Wales, chapels closing every week, most denominations. You're bucking the trend and you've opened something. So what's happening? What's going on?
What is going on? Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's a definite narrative in Wales at the moment of closure and decline. There's also this exciting sort of undercurrent narrative of this sort of young revival. We don't really sit in that, sadly. But I think what we felt was perhaps missing, and this was very much based on our experiences, was a space where integration was happening very sort of intentionally, not by chance, and a place where abilities were able to come and to be served and find belonging together. One of the kind of flagships of Capel y Bont is inclusion of language. So we are doing our very, very best to operate trilingually where we can. So if you came to us on a Sunday afternoon, you would be able to understand the service in English, and there would also be Welsh segments that would be simultaneously translated, and also there would be BSL, which Nick obviously is using right now. Yeah. So the BSL is sometimes used interpretively, as Nick is doing at the moment. Yeah. And also during our sung worship, BSL is integrated into that. And one of the things that's been very special is Nick engages with the congregation and will often teach some sign that we can take part in as we worship as well. So the sort of dream case scenario on a Sunday is, particularly as I say with the sung worship, we have Welsh, English and BSL all taking place at the same time. Wow,
so the vision is for an inclusive church.
Yes.
In the heart of Pontypridd.
Yes.
And reaching out to anyone and everyone.
Anyone and everyone. Pontypridd did have a Welsh language congregation at Capel Sardis that closed a number of years back. So until this year, when Capel y Bont opened in September 2025, there was no worshipping Welsh language congregation in Pontypridd town centre. So it's been fantastic to bring that back to life, as it were. And also the inclusion stretches beyond language and into disability as well. So a number of people who are part of the Capel y Bont community are neurodivergent or have additional needs that need to be met. I think one of the things that I'm particularly passionate about, and I think we as a team are passionate about, is sometimes we can feel as able people, I do not enjoy that phrase, that we have something to impart, that we have something to teach. And I think that does border on ableism, when actually so often, particularly in our gathering times, what we're learning from people who might ordinarily be on the margins is really edifying, is really encouraging. My own son is non-verbal, he's autistic, and so often we struggle to be in public spaces. But watching him, on occasion in gatherings, enjoy a sensory activity and laugh his head off and feel that he can lie on the stage while someone is preaching, and that be okay, the only response it draws out of people is smiles. And I think there's something to be said for having a space that is visibly demonstrative of the kingdom of heaven on earth is very needed. I don't think we see it enough. And what we don't want to do is be that church where you can go if. Yes. That's not what this is. If anything, we would love for perhaps in time other Christian communities to feel inspired to stretch themselves. We're still very much learning. That is the joy of pioneering work, I suppose, is that you're the guinea pig. This sort of community exists in other places. We are by no means the first, but I think locally we're probably the most overt in terms of welcome and hopefully facilitation as well. As I say, we're learning all the time, and that's an adaptive, organic process depending on who's coming through the door. But we want to be a church community that is always willing to stretch, not just so that you can cope with being in the room, but that you are also having an experience of God and of the church in a meaningful way as well.
So if I were to come, for example, on a Sunday afternoon when you meet Jess, it sounds like this is a very different kind of worship experience or church experience, the way it's set out, the way it's laid out, the kind of things that are happening here. Can you talk us through what it might look like?
Yeah, sure. So if you came along on a Sunday, we're in the afternoon, which is, again, increasingly popular, but part of the reason for that is a lot of families who are dealing with disabilities. The mornings can be a real challenge. So it's lovely to be able to have our gathering at a time of day where hopefully that pressure is then removed. So you come in through the doors, we've got baskets at the back, a basket that's got ear defenders in, so if noise is something that you're sensitive to, you can grab a pair of ear defenders. And then there's another basket full of fidget toys. So you can pick up a fidget toy and it's fine for you to fidget with that for the duration of the service. We have teas, coffees, good quality biscuits, obviously very, very important point that we have at the start. So it just gives people a chance to acclimatise to the room, to get used to the feeling, the sounds that might be going on, the lights that are going on. Very conscious about sound levels. We're conscious about not having too many lights fighting for attention at the same time. And that's a nice sort of opportunity for people to find their seats. The seats are around sort of 8-seater tables, so families and friends can sit together. On the tables there's some Lego, there's some Play-Doh, there's colouring sheets, and then each week we'll have a craft that centres around the theme of the service. So it's quite a sort of holistic experience where you can be doing stuff with your hands whilst you're listening, and that's not just acceptable, but that's encouraged. It's been quite surprising and lovely to see how many adults actually find that really helpful as well. And if people are moving around, it's okay, and no one's going to stare at you, and there is a lack of pressure, I think, particularly on parents and carers to contain children. And instead of that feeling chaotic, it actually feels more relaxing because you're not stressed. Therefore, the child in your care is not stressed. So that's kind of been a really lovely surprise, because I think we were perhaps thinking, oh my gosh, could this turn into a bit of a free-for-all? That's not how it feels at all. There is such a sense of welcome. And I think children, and I would say, if I speak for my son who is autistic, he's incredibly perceptive, and he can pick up on an atmosphere so quickly. So that's been really encouraging. So there are elements of the service that will be very familiar. So there's sung worship. We tend to stay seated so that there's not a lot of movement. The lyrics, as I say, are a trilingual where possible. There's a lot of talking, but the talking is such where you have to be really mindful that this is an intergenerational experience. Again, this is very much the journey that we're on of where does that sit? You can't over egg it so the children are disengaged, but also you don't want to underplay your teaching so that the adults feel, well, this isn't really enough for me. I think part of that is actually acknowledging that a Sunday isn't the only thing. That's not what makes you church. And for us, what we've decided as a team is the Sunday is about gathering as family. And that might mean a 10-minute sermon. It might mean only being 45 minutes long. And that's okay, because there's 6 other days of the week where you can gather around Bible study or where the kids can get together and have pizza. It doesn't all need to take place in this one moment.
Sure.
The importance of that Sunday gathering is that we are a gathered people, and we will try our best to prefer one another's needs and hopefully find a lovely compromise. Sounds like you're lacking, but it doesn't feel like compromise. It feels like a sort of a held, safe space where everybody can have the experience that they need.
Sounds amazing.
I don't know that we get it right all the time, but we're certainly aiming for that.
And what about the future? I know nobody can see it or look into it, but as you've only been open, I think, since September.
Yes.
So you're brand new. You know, these are baby steps. Although it sounds like extraordinary, amounts going on here. What do you think the next few years could look like for you, or what do you hope it'll look like for you as a church?
It's a really interesting question, because part of what Capel y Bont needs to be able to serve this broad community is low numbers. So if we sort of let ourselves dream about growth, I think we're acutely aware that the building that we're sitting in right now is quite vast. You know, the room itself could probably hold upwards of 250 people. That would not be beneficial to this community that we feel called to. So perhaps in 5 years' time, we're having to meet multiple times on a Sunday to ensure that that sense of safe security is protected. So that's, I think, probably quite an unusual consideration to have. I think what we would love to see is a progress in how we listen to communities that are often unseen. So particularly, you know, people who are looking after children in care, often an invisible community, particularly of children. Children who maybe need aids, wheelchairs. There's a hesitance and a fear, I think, of disappointment sometimes from families that have been let down, even on a basic level of we're accessible and you arrive and actually it's not. So there's still a lot of progress to be made with how we build trust within the additional learning needs community and the disabled community. So that I find really exciting, because I think that often it's a community of people who are lonely and isolated. As I say, our motivation as a family is indulgent. We're partly doing this because it serves us, but we very much don't want it to just be for us. We want others to come in and find that space of welcome as well. So I think there's a lot that could happen, but we want what does happen to be right and to be of service, not just necessarily doing things because we think they would be a great idea. So I think that journey needs to be meaningful, and there needs to be an investment from us into the community that we wish to serve. So, yeah.
Wow. Well, Jess, thanks ever so much for sharing your vision with us today, and every blessing to you and the team here, and we look forward to hearing so much more about what's going on in Capel y Bont.
Diolch.